Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed. How are we doing out there in podcast listening land? I hope everybody's doing well. Well, I know one person that isn't, and we're going to talk about it today, about this individual who is not having a real good day. Well, he's not having a real good week. Uh, he's not having a real good last 2 years, to be exact. In case this is your first time checking out Movie Goodness here, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for deciding to check out Movie Goodness. And thank you for tuning in. I hope today that I say something that make you want to continue to check out the show, subscribe to the show, and download episodes of Movie Goodness and all of the other programs that are here on the KB Radio Network. And if you are a continued listener, a loyal fan of the show, thank you. Welcome back. Glad that you're here. Today, we're going to talk about Donald J. Trump. And to be more specific, we're going to talk about his indictments. Former President Donald Trump, who is the most polarizing president in recent memory. I'm not going to go through all 46 of them, but I know that he is the most polarizing in my lifetime. I will say that much. I never was a fan of Donald Trump, full disclosure. And before we jump into this, let me lay it all out in case you don't know. I never voted for Donald Trump, never conceived the thought of voting for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, and this goes back to years ago, I never was a fan of his. I never liked him as a person. I never cared for him for the things he has said, the things he has done. I mean, go through his history. The dude is a criminal, and it didn't stop when he was sworn in as president of this country. And it amazes me time and time again, every day, when I go on social media or watch the news or listen to different podcasts or radio shows that champion this guy. There are people I will say, and I hate to say it because I don't want to be associated with him, but there are people in my circle that love this guy, who think he's the second coming. Like he is the greatest thing to happen to this country since the Mayflower landed. And it still boggles my mind. What do you see in this guy that makes you think that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread? It's nothing in his history that supports the fact that he cares for anybody other than himself. Nothing. I mean, the dude is just pure evil in my eyes. I honest to God, pure evil. I say this, I tell people this, like when he got elected. I remember when he announced that he was running for president. I'll never forget that day because I was at my parents' house. My dad was still alive then. And we were watching TV, and the announcement came on, and my dad said, this ain't real. This is a joke. And that's what my dad had said. He was like, it's no way. There's no way he'll become president. Well, my father passed away before the election, before he was actually elected from cancer. And I always said that if cancer didn't take my dad out, Donald Trump being elected probably would have took him out anyway. So either way, I wouldn't have had my father. My father would be in heaven right now because of this. I mean, you had to be in the room when this announcement came down, and the look on his face in the complete disbelief that it would never happen. There is no way he would win, and it happened. Part of me is glad that he passed on before it happened so he wouldn't have that disappointment in his face. It is that bad. It was that bad. And his presidency proved as such. Another reason why I don't understand why people are clamoring for this guy. It's nothing he did benefited the American people. Nothing. I mean, nothing. I mean, well, let me take that back. Let me take that back. For the top percentile, yeah, but not for us, not for the layman, not for those who are working class citizens, which is 99% of the country. I don't get it. I don't get it. But we're not discussing his history today, even though I was going through it. I just want to get my feelings going in so y'all won't be uh, speculating, even though there's no reason to speculate. Like, oh, I wonder is this going to be hateful and all this here. No, I'm getting all the hate out now because when we discuss his indictments and stuff, it's not going to be much commentary. I just want to run down the charges that lay before him. And, you know, of course, I'm not going to be able to help myself. Yeah, there will be some commentary, but I'm not, it's not going to be hate. It's going to be facts, so you can take it how you want to take it, but these are facts. This is the stuff that I'm about to run down. So after we go through all that, we're going to review a film that's related to such topic. And once again, if you're new to the show, this is how the show works. We discuss a topic, whether it's a current event like this or a historical event or whatever it may be. And we pick a movie that is related to said topic. So today's show, since we're talking about these indictments on Donald Trump and it relates to him trying to tamper with the 2020 election, we're going to review the 1999 film Election, which stars Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick. So that's how this show works, and that is the rundown of today's episode. So let's jump into this hot button issue here of the indictments against Donald J. Trump. On 3 occasions, indictments have been given against the former president Donald Trump in active criminal cases against him, 1 on state charges and 2 on federal charges. Starting with the people of the state of New York versus Trump. On March the 30th of this year, 2023, Trump was indicted by a Manhattan grand jury for his alleged role in a scandal related to hush money payments made to the pornographic film actress Stormy Daniels before the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Trump faces 34 felony charges for falsifying business records in the first degree, carrying a maximum sentence of 136 years if Trump is convicted on all counts. Here's the rundown of that little incident. In July of 2006, Stormy Daniels, who is a porn star, met Trump at a celebrity golf tournament in Nevada. At the time, Trump was the host of the reality TV show The Apprentice and was married to Melania Trump. Their son, Barron Trump, had been born 4 months earlier. According to Daniels, Trump invited her to his penthouse at Harris Lake Tahoe, where the two had sex and talked about making her a guest on The Apprentice. In 2011, Daniels considered selling the story to the celebrity magazine Life and Style for $15,000 as Trump began to explore the possibilities of running for president. His lawyer, Michael Cohen, threatened to sue Life and Style when it asked the Trump organization for comment. Daniels' agent leaked the story to gossip blog The Dirty, in October. The post was taken down following complaints by Trump lawyers. As Trump's 2016 presidential campaign began, Stormy Daniels' agent approached multiple publications, including the National Enquirer, and attempted to sell the story. The National Enquirer bought the story following the publication of a lewd tape between Trump and television host Billy Bush in October of 2016. In an effort to help the Trump campaign, the National Enquirer sought to suppress the story. Rather than paying Stormy Daniels, the National Enquirer editor-in-chief Dylan Howard negotiated a $130,000 non-disclosure disclosure agreement between Daniels and Cohen. As the election neared, Cohen attempted to find the money and repeatedly delayed her payment. Keith Danielson, Stormy Daniels' attorney, canceled the deal in October of 2016. Realizing that his work to cover up the story could be revealed, Michael Cohen drew the money from his own home equity line of credit and sent it through a shell company incorporated in Delaware. Donald Trump initially denied knowing about the check made out to Daniels. In April of 2018, aboard Air Force One, he told a reporter he did not know where Cohen got the money. Rudy Giuliani, an attorney for Donald Trump, refuted these claims in a Fox News interview, saying that Trump was aware of the payments. Trump wrote several checks totaling $420,000 to Cohen. The checks reimbursed him for the non-disclosure agreement and covered the cost for Cohen to manipulate online polls to boost Trump's status. The $180,000 paid to Cohen was doubled to offset taxes, and $60,000 was added. These payments were made throughout 2017 during Trump's first year as president. The payments made to Cohen were declared as a legal expense. If this was misleading, it would constitute a misdemeanor under New York law. Prosecutors have also considered the legality of Cohen's payment. Under New York law, falsifying business records to cover up a crime is a Class E felony. Also, from 2006 to 2007, American model and actress Karen McDougal had an affair with Donald Trump. During Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, McDougal approached the National Enquirer to sell her story. The National Enquirer, owned by America Media Incorporated, agreed to acquire the story and suppress it for $150,000. The Wall Street Journal reported on the deal in October of 2016. The deal was forged from Trump's relationship with David Pecker, the CEO of American Media, since the early 90s. Initially, Trump was known as a friend of Pecker. McDougal believed the story would surface regardless when another former Playboy model posted a tweet that alluded to their affair. Also, in April of 2018, the New Yorker reported on a story of a former Trump Tower doorman. The doorman alleged that in the 1980s, Trump fathered a child with a former employee and signed an agreement with American Media in the late 2015 for $30,000. The agreement assured the National Enquirer exclusive rights to the story. The National Enquirer attempted to prove the story's legality in November of 2015, staking out the homes of the employee's mother and daughter and hiring the services of criminal investigators Michael Mancuso. Although skepticism was levied against the claim from the doorman, several sources the New Yorker talked to believed the American media's payment to the doorman was unusual. In 2017, the Associated Press attempted to investigate the story and neared publication. American media met with the Associated Press to suppress the story. Immediately after the New Yorker contacted American media for comment, American media publication Radar Online published a story claiming that the doorman's story was false. The New Yorker was not able to verify the doorman's claims. In January of 2018, the Wall Street Journal reported that Michael Cohen's payments to Stormy Daniels and Cohen pleaded guilty to 8 criminal counts related to the payments, as well as a payment made to McDougal in August. In his admission of guilt, Cohen implicated Donald Trump, stating that he acted, and I quote, at the direction of a candidate for federal office. In December of 2018, Michael Cohen was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Now, concerning the indictment of Donald Trump, unless the case is dismissed, a trial is expected. During the arraignment, possible court dates were disclosed. Prosecutors proposed January of 2024, but Trump's defense team objected, saying that the trial should be set for later in 2024. On May 23rd, 2023, Justice Benchin set the trial for March 25th, 2024. Moving on to the government documents case. This is the United States versus Trump. It is pending federal charges, criminal charges against Donald Trump. The grand jury indictment with 37 felony counts against Trump related to his mishandling of classified documents after his presidency was filed on June the 8th of 2023 in the Federal District Court of Miami by the Office of the Smith Special Counsel Investigation. 31 of the counts fall under the Espionage Act, and other charges including making false statements and engaging in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. The case marks the first federal indictment of a former U.S. president. In November of 2022, the investigation was taken over by a special counsel investigation under the direction of Jack Smith. Now, to give a little background on this particular case, under the Presidential Records Act, presidential documents must be transferred to the National Archives and Records Administration by the end of a president's term. Trump's term ended in January of 2021, thank God. In May of 2021, the National Archives and Record Administration became aware of missing documents from the Trump administration and began an effort to retrieve documents improperly taken to Trump's residence at Mar-a-Lago. Later, the FBI obtained evidence that Trump was personally involved in causing the documents to be taken. After repeatedly demanding the return of the documents from Trump's team and warning them of a possible referral to the Justice Department, the National Archives and Records Administration retrieved 15 boxes of documents in January of 2022. They discovered that the boxes contained classified materials and notified the Justice Department on February the 9th, 2022. This led the FBI to launch an investigation into Trump's handling of government documents on March the 30th of 2022. In May of 2022, a grand jury issued a subpoena for any remaining documents in Trump's possession, and Trump certified that he was returning all the remaining documents on June the 3rd of 2022. The FBI then obtained evidence that Trump had not fulfilled the subpoena and still possessed additional documents, and that he had intentionally moved documents to hide them from his lawyers and the FBI after the subpoena was issued. This led to the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago on August the 8th of 2022, in which the FBI recovered over 13,000 government documents, over 300 of which are classified, with some related to national defense secrets covered under the Espionage Act. The civil lawsuit, Trump versus the United States, arose from the search, which briefly led to the appointment of special master to review seized materials before the appointment was overtaken. In November of 2022, the FBI investigation was taken over by a special counsel investigation under the direction of Jack Smith, who was appointed by the Attorney General. A second civil suit allowed the Smith investigation to make use of the criminal fraud exception to attorney-client privilege. Moving on, the United States of America versus Donald J. Trump. This is the case that is centered around the 2020 election. And I would say the big daddy of them all, even though they are all serious, but this one here, this carries the most weight. The United States of America versus Donald J. Trump is a pending federal criminal case against Donald Trump regarding his alleged participation in the attempts to overturn the 2020 U.S. presidential election and his involvement in the January 6th United States Capitol attack. Donald Trump questioned the results of the 2020 presidential election, claimed that election fraud had occurred through the mail-in ballots, and directly attempted to overturn the election, at least the results of the election, through a plot in which pro-Trump electors would be installed. Trump pressured then Vice President Mike Pence to count these electors. The Department of Justice opened an investigation in January of 2022 into the plot, expanding it to include the January 6th insurrection. In November of 2022, the Attorney General appointed Jack Smith to lead a special counsel investigation into the events of January the 6th and the FBI investigation into Donald Trump's handling of government documents. On August the 1st of 2023, a grand jury indicted Trump in the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia on 4 charges: conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstructing the official proceeding related to the classification of the election results on January the 6th of 2021, conspiring to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. The indictment mentioned 6 unnamed co-conspirators. It is Trump's 3rd indictment in the first indictment against a United States president concerning his actions while in office. According to the indictment, on December the 8th, 2020, a senior campaign advisor admitted that our research and campaign legal team cannot back up any of the claims. On January 1st, Trump learned that Mike Pence did not believe the vice president could reject electoral votes. Trump called Pence and told him, "You're too honest. On January the 3rd, it is alleged that White House Deputy Counsel Patrick Philbin told co-conspirator number 4, which is likely Jeffrey Clark, that if Trump held into power, there would be riots in every major city in the United States. To which he replied, "Well, Pat, that's why there's an insurrection act." The indictment also describes a previously unreported discussion between Trump and White House counsel Pat, let me see if I get his name right, Coloni, Colompi. I don't know. I'll just call him Pat. In which Pat advised Trump hours after the Capitol riot started to drop his objections to the election. Trump refused. These are the alleged co-conspirators. Co-conspirator number 1 is Trump attorney, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Co-conspirator number 2 is Trump attorney John Eastman. Co-conspirator number 3 is Trump attorney Sidney Powell. Co-conspirator number 4 is Trump attorney Jeffrey Clark, and Trump co-conspirator, well, I'd say Trump. Co-conspirator number 5 is Trump attorney Kenneth Cheesebro. There's also a 6th who isn't named, but he's described as, or they are described as, a political consultant who allegedly named attorneys in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin who could assist in the fraudulent elector effort. On December 13th, 2020, this person joined a phone call with Rudy Giuliani and a senior campaign advisor for Trump. Now, this is where you may say, boy, this is where the story ends, but no. those are just the ones that are confirmed indictments. We still got something down the pike here that is pending, and that is the 2020 Georgia election investigation. And this refers to an ongoing criminal investigation into alleged efforts by then President Donald Trump and his allies to overturn the classified or the certified victory of the Democratic candidate Joe Biden and award the state's electoral college votes to Trump. Felton County, Georgia, District Attorney Fannie Willis launched an investigation in February of 2021, leading to a special grand jury in January of 2023, recommending indictments of numerous individuals. About 20 have been told they are targeted who could face charges. The district attorney has said she is considering state racketing charges. The investigation scoop includes Trump's pressuring of the Republican Georgia Secretary of State in a recorded phone call that I heard, by the way, to find significant ballots for him to win the state. To put it all in perspective, now this is still pending. This is probably coming soon as well. They probably were waiting for the ball to drop with the federal charges and the case in New York. So I'm pretty sure Georgia will be coming soon. Probably by the time this episode drops, they'll make an announcement, or maybe, I don't know. But it's starting. The dominoes are starting to fall for Mr. Trump. But all I would say is this: yeah, there's too much evidence to point to the fact that all of this is collusion. All this is a witch hunt that I've seen on social media, or this is made up by the Democrats and all this other foolishness. Man, stop. There's way too much evidence, way too much, and it's not like planet stuff. You go back to the documents, all those boxes. These are boxes. The dude had over 30,000 pieces of documents that was in his possession for what? Probably to sell off to other people, you know? I mean, that is crazy to me. Why isn't he under the jail right now? It's still mind-boggling to me. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm shocked that we actually got to this point. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm shocked because I had put in my mind that this dude was just gonna get away with all this. You know, nobody was pressing the issue. The DOJ was dragging their feet. It's nothing that's gonna happen to him. He's gonna run again in 2024, and that's that. You know, whenever the election is, I don't even know now. But in any event, it's amazing that this actually took place. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked by it. Happy, but shocked. But that's that. Let's get in since Trump likes to tinker with elections. Since Trump think he's above the law, let's review a film. Let's review a film that deals with tinkering with elections, and it is none other than the 1999 black comedy directed by Alexander Payne, who also co-wrote this film with Jim Taylor, and it stars Reese Witherspoon and Ferris Bueller himself, Matthew Broderick. Election. And I remember renting this movie. I rented it from, I think Blockbuster was still open then. One of the last movies we probably rented from Blockbuster. No, the last movie I rented from Blockbuster was Moulin Rouge. I remember that clearly. But anywho's, yeah, I rented this film and watched it with with my wife. I think we just got married when I finally sat down and watched this movie. And at the time, I was kind of confused because I thought this was like a straight up high school comedy. I thought this was gonna be like a Clueless or, you know what I'm saying, one of them old school high school comedies. But no, this was an adult comedy, and I would make the argument that it was a little more serious than a comedy. Yeah, it was funny, but it was a serious subject matter hidden in this high school film. And the premise of Election is the plot revolves around a student body election, and it satires politics and high school life. The film stars Matthew Broderick as Jim McAllister, a popular high school social studies teacher, and Reese Witherspoon as Tracy Flick, an overachieving student who he dislikes. When Tracy runs for student government president, Jim sabotages her candidacy by backing a rival candidate and tampering with the ballot count. This was I mean, it gets dark. It's to say this is a high school comedy. This gets dark real quick. And once again, I'm looking on the outside in, not knowing what this movie was about when I rented it and sat down and watched it. You know, I'm looking Matthew Broderick, high school. You know, the first thing popping in my mind is Ferris Bueller. Okay, Ferris Bueller grew up. Now he's a school teacher. How ironic is that? You know, and completely different from Ferris Bueller. This is nowhere near what Ferris Bueller as a character was. And man, I love Matthew Broderick in this film. I love Reese Witherspoon in this film. The film also stars Chris Klein, Jessica Campbell, Phil Reeves, Molly Hagan, and many more. This film, as I said before, is directed by Alexander Payne, who went on after this to direct The Descendants with George Clooney, About Spit with Jack Nicholson, also Nebraska, Downsizing, He even co-wrote Jurassic Park 3, because I'm gonna forgive him for that. He also co-wrote I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, which was funny. But yeah, this he is a very talented filmmaker, and this was his second film. His first film was Citizen Ruth, but this was his first, I guess you could say, big film. This really announced him to the world as a filmmaker. This movie, as I said, it has a perfect balance of comedy and darkness. When you hear the description of a film as a dark comedy, this is where my mind travels to this film, because this was a dark film, but it was funny. And sometimes the jokes are, you you kind of feel bad for laughing at some of the things that is going on. Now there are perfectly set up jokes that you're supposed to be laughing at, but you feel bad at the situation because these characters are flushed out really well. Uh, uh, Reese Witherspoon as Tracy Flick is just do-gooder, overachieving. You know, that one from high. We all know him. If you don't know him, you would probably them. That one in high school who just had it going on. You think you had all straight A's on in the student body. You either the president or in the board or whatever the case may be. You probably an athlete. You just got everything going on, and you think your poo don't stink. You know, one of those, one of those, and she was just that and annoying. Nobody really cared for her, but she was who she was. You know, she just strived to be great, no matter what she was doing, and didn't care. And she had an evilness to her as well. You know, these she wasn't a perfect character. She wasn't a character where Matthew Broderick's character, when he devised this plan to mess over her, uh, you kind of understand where he's coming from. You understand why, because he sees it in her. He sees it in her, and it's all because it was set up with a poster. She got mad at a poster. She ripped down the poster of her opponent, and he knew it. He knew it was her. He didn't see her, but he knew it was her, and it started from there. And he something about that made him click, because she puts on this facade like she's this do-gooder that she does no wrong and all this here, and all of a sudden, boom, this is his opportunity to take her down. And he backs the jock, who is played by Chris Klein, who is I think this was his first film, and you could tell Chris Klein from, he went on to be in American Pie and other films, but he was just a dimwit. he was he was an idiot, but he was popular, and he's somebody you could get behind. So he put all of his focus behind him to get him elected, and insanity ensues from there. It's so much more going on in his story. I loved B and C storylines that's running concurrent with the main storyline. You got the storyline with oh my God, what's his name? The well, Chris Klein's sister, his character's sister, who is in love with this girl, and she's trying to impress this girl. I like that story. I like the story, but the girl was only getting close to her to get with Chris Klein, and you had that little problem. You had that little drama going on. You had the story with Matthew Broderick and his wife trying to conceive, and their best friends, their neighbors, who the guy, he ended up running off with one of the students. And I mean, it's not funny, it's messed up, but he runs off with one of the students, leaving his wife behind, and and he's doing what he can for her, and he tries to have an affair with her. It, you know, and then you have that going on. It's just a lot of storylines going on, but it's not muddled. It's not like it's overstocked with these uh, uh different stories going on. Because you get those films where you have the main storyline, and then you have plot B and plot C going on, and it kind of overtakes the plot A, you know, and the movie gets messy. In this particular film, we don't have that. All of that is running concurrent with the A storyline, but the A storyline is still the dominant storyline. And I love the way that was written. And you could tell that with all of Alexander Payne's work uh, later on through his career, especially The Descendants. If you haven't seen The Descendants, it's a great film with George Clooney. Um, I love the way this film is structured. And at the end of it all, at the end of it all, everybody get their comeuppance. Everybody, with the exception of Tracy Flick, and that's one of the things that makes set this film apart to me, because it is, depending on your view of it all, is Tracy the villain here, or is Matthew Broderick the villain? And it really comes down to your personal view, how you view this film, because not everybody's going to have the same answer. It's me personally, I feel that Tracy Flick is the villain of this movie. Just personally, I just feel she's the villain. But I can see where somebody else can feel Matthew Broderick's character is the villain, because he does do villainous things. Actually, they both are villains in their own way, but one does stand out more than the other. And it really does come up to your, I guess, political preference, and that's kind of where we are now as a country. It's the same thing. And so is life imitating art, or art imitating life? I guess that's another thing we can debate over as well. But Election from 1999, boy, that feels like forever to, to say that. I don't know why. 1999. Man, that seems like forever. But anywho's, Election from 1999, starring Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick, gets a letter grade of an A minus. This was really a really good film. I don't have any flaws with that movie. That movie is funny and serious, and it's poignant, and it's topical, and it fits in today's narrative, especially when you consider election fraud. So it is I don't know. I guess it was telling the future, so to speak, prophesizing to us, if you will. Election. I really do enjoy it. I love that movie. I do. I really do. I love that movie. It still cracks me up to this day. But what doesn't crack me up is this foolishness going on with Donald Trump. Uh, it is funny to see him go through this, because, like I said, I don't like him, and I feel he deserves it. He does. The man's evil, and so he deserves it. But do I believe he's going to prison? I do not. I honestly don't. I think this is all a dog and pony show. But I was shocked with the indictments. I didn't think we was going to get indictments, and look at it. Well, I didn't think he was going to get elected, and he got elected. Didn't think he was going to get indicted. He got indicted. I don't think he's going to prison. Let's see if we can pull off the hat trick here. But these are some serious charges, and there is, I mean, busloads of evidence against this dude. There is no reason why we should not get a conviction here. The one thing that does scare me, on a serious note, the one thing that does scare me, you saw how these people acted when he lost an election. Just imagine if they send him to prison. I think the Civil War will begin. I honestly do. It will. They will lose their collective minds. People, these MAGA people and Trump lovers or whatever they're called, they are. It's a cult. It's like a cult. They have lost their minds when it comes to this guy. He can't do no wrong. I mean, he walks on water. I'm telling you, it's like he's the second coming. And the fact that these people are putting them up on trumped up charges in their mind, no pun intended, it's just going to anger them even more. So that's my only fear. If they send him to prison, people going to start rioting in the streets, really burning down places. Now, they was upset with Black Lives Matter, protesting. So what you think gonna happen? I don't know. I ain't even gonna go there. But in any event, what do you think is gonna happen with all these cases or charges with Donald Trump? Do you think that we will get a conviction, or do you think he's innocent? Do you think that this is fake? This is fake news. This is the Democrats just going after him for no reason. He's an innocent man. I would like to know, but I also would like to know why you sat here through this whole episode. if you feel that strongly. But in any event, of course I love you all. I do. I'm not hateful like he is. I'm glad you joined me. But I would like to know, you can email the show kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look me up on all social media platforms. Just look up the KB Radio Network. You can also find us on YouTube. Look up the KB Radio Network channel, subscribe to the channel, and like this video if you don't mind. Please, ma'am, please, sir, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. As always, thank you all for joining me for this episode. Can't wait to speak to you all next go around. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love one another. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.